Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how to finalize your project so that you can turn it in as a 2-track master, and you'll also have a file that you can listen to later, either as an MP3 or that you can burn onto a CD. So I'm going to use this project here that we recorded in class a few weeks ago, and I'm going to pretend that this first take here is going to be my final project. So I'm going to zoom in tight on that first section, and then I'm going to start to clean up the head and the tail so that the final audio is nice and clean. So the first thing I want to do is listen to the opening and figure out exactly where I want to cut it. Okay, so that's where I want the song to begin, is right there where the guitar starts playing. So what I want to do is I want to select all of these audio files and resize them down into this point. And you can use either the grabber tool to start with separately, or you can bracket all the tools and then use the location of your mouse to determine which tool you're going to be using at any one time. So I like to use all three bracketed together. I'm going to use the Shift and the Option key and use the grabber tool by clicking on the lower half of one of these regions, and it will select all of the regions in one time. Using the Option key with Shift will select all regions at once. Then as I kind of drag my mouse over the beginning of one of the audio regions, the lower half, hold the Shift key down and click and drag over to the point where you want it to actually start. And you might want to zoom in a little tighter. Again, keeping the Shift key down now, holding the Shift key down, just pull it in a little tighter to that waveform. You might want to listen to it, make sure that it's what you want. Okay, and then I'm going to zoom back out just a bit. Again, use Shift, Option, and the grabber tool to select them all, and then with the Shift key up now, just drag them to the left so that they start at the very beginning of the track. Then I'm going to do the same thing at the ending. I want to go tidy up the tail of it, so I'm going to listen to the end and figure out where I want to cut it. Okay, so you'll notice there's some studio chatter that comes in towards the end there. I want to cut that off, so I'm going to again Shift, Option, grabber tool, select them all, keep the Shift key down, grab in the end of the region and pull it tighter. I'm going to have to zoom in here a little bit, figure out where the studio chatter starts. Okay, so just a little bit more. I got to cut a little more. So I'm just going to pull it in a little. Oops. Hold the Shift key down, drag it left. So you'll notice as I did that, unfortunately the studio chatter kind of came in over the ending of the cymbal. So what I'm going to have to do is fake the cymbal fade out by using the Selection tool and just drag, select with the mouse over the tail of all of those files at all of those regions at one time. Use Command F to bring up the fade, and you have a choice of equal gain or equal power. Equal power is usually the one you want, so hit OK. And that'll put a fade at the end of every one of those audio regions. So now, as we listen to it, we'll hear the cymbal fade out. And it is a little clip, but at least it doesn't have the studio chatter in it. So now I'm ready to what some programs call export. Pro Tools uses the word bounce to send this mix of these regions out as a 2-channel stereo file. And the thing is, if your project looks like this and you have other takes, you want to make sure you're not bouncing or exporting the whole thing. You only just want to export or bounce this first section. So again, use Shift Option to select just that part of this project. Then this part only will be bounced. If you don't do that, it'll bounce the whole thing, and you'll end up with, not what you want. You don't want to share this with other people because it's not ready to go. So again, Shift Option, click with the grabber tool. Now we're going to go up to File, Bounce to Disk. And there's some choices we have to make, and I have some how-tos about which choices you want to use. Depending on what kind of a file you want either a WAV, an AIFF, or an MP3. WAV and AIFF are interchangeable. They're both uncompressed, high-quality audio files that you would use to burn onto a CD. Obviously, we all know what MP3s are. So if I want to make a file to put on a CD, I'm going to choose either WAV or AIFF. And then I have a couple of other choices which usually are correct, but sometimes somebody's changed them. So you want to make sure it's interleaved. And if you're going to put this on a CD, you need to make it 16-bit. CDs are 16-bit depth. Everything else can be 24. So if you're going to make it for a CD, you want to make it 16, and you want to leave it at 44.1. You don't want to have import after bounce, and you don't want to do any of these other things. This is the name of the file, and then this is the location of where it will go, which is in the same folder as your project in a folder called Bounced Files. You can add an MP3 so that it'll generate both a file for burning a CD and an MP3, but I would suggest doing it separately, because if you do want to make an MP3, you sometimes want to have a little bit more control over where it's going and stuff like that, but you can do them both at the same time, which is what I'll do here. I'll add the MP3. Then you hit the bounce, and what it's going to do is it's going to run through the file a little faster than real time and generate, in this case, two stereo files. One is a WAV format and one is an MP3. For an MP3, you can add your name and things like that if you want to have that connected into the MP3. So then just wait a minute. It usually doesn't take very long. And when it's done, if we just hide Pro Tools for a minute, go out and look in this folder. This is the folder where the session was. You now have a folder called Bounced Files. And in that Bounced Files folder, you have your MP3 and your WAV. So these are the ones that you want to drag onto a thumb drive or the WAV file burn on a CD. So that's how you finalize your project. And it's been a great semester. Have a good break, everybody, and I'll see you later. Bye.